Dawn light touches the wet African earth, illuminating the first human footsteps. Beside a river, a small band of people break camp. The great ice has receded, and with it an old way of life. In the cool morning air, smoke rises, and children clutch the two things that will build the future: seeds and stories. They turn their faces toward unknown horizons and begin to walk. From these humble beginnings, humanity spread across the globe, adapting and innovating. They settled deserts, forests, and remote islands, weaving new languages, myths, and cultures. Over generations, temporary camps gave way to permanent gardens, and gardens blossomed into the world's first villages. Along the great rivers of the world, these villages swelled into towns, then cities, then the first sprawling states. On clay tablets, they recorded the harvest. On stone pillars, they carved the law. The specific location is less important, a blueprint for civilization, repeating across the continents. But this raised a fundamental question: what holds vast numbers of strangers together? The answer was found not just in shared roots, but in new routes. On dusty roads and open waters, the pace of life quickened. Coins, stamped with the face of a distant ruler, created trust between merchants who had never met. And sacred scriptures, carried by disciples and pilgrims, wove disparate peoples into communities of shared belief. As empires expanded, so did the human mind. In the shaded courtyards of Athens, Rome, and Alexandria, new questions echoed beneath carved pillars. How should we live? What is a just society? What is the nature of reality? These schools of thought, from imperial courts to remote monasteries, gave birth to ideas that traveled faster than any army, carried in the minds of people through habit, institution, and faith. And this ancient world is not as distant as it seems. Our alphabets, our legal codes, the very language we use to debate morality, all are echoes of these first global conversations. The digital highways we travel today often follow the same paths carved out by Roman roads and Silk Road caravans. Then the map was redrawn forever. Picture a harbor at dawn in the early 1600s. The air is thick with the smell of salt, tar, and citrus. A young deckhand, a descendant of that first child by the river, grips a wet rope. The known world is behind him. Before him lies an ocean that is no longer a barrier, but a bridge. For the first time, oceans connected the great landmasses of Afro-Eurasia, the Americas, and Oceania into a single global network. This connection brought unprecedented exchange, but also brutal conquest and fierce resistance. It rewired global diets and reshaped populations. New forms of wealth were forged, often on the backs of millions forced into bondage. And new ideas ignited change. A theological protest in 1517 sparked a fire of reformation, challenging old authorities and eventually fueling revolutions that demanded not the loyalty of subjects, but the rights of citizens. The collision of new rights and old empires would define the modern age. Factories rose, belching smoke and progress in equal measure. Two devastating world wars shattered the old imperial order, giving rise to dozens of new nations. In their wake, a fragile peace was attempted, built on new institutions and shadowed by a long Cold War. And now, in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, that global network has become instantaneous. Digital signals and supply chains bind us more tightly than ever before, making us vulnerable to shared shocks, from financial crises to climate change and global pandemics. The tools we possess today are more powerful than any emperor could have imagined, from the ability to edit our own genetic code to the rise of artificial intelligence. The ancient questions remain, but the stakes have never been higher. The story is not over. It is being written now by all of us. And the final question is ours to answer. Will this vast, interconnected web we have built lead to repair or to rupture?